minute to wait to pull the trigger. The 1 minute's already doing what it does, and I'm using the 1 minute to match certain things over here, or to give me a good idea that what I see on the 5-minute chart is accurate. But again, what we're looking for tonight are blue on red entries with 1s, 2s, or 3s, red HMAs and red candles, and we're looking at yellow on green with green HMAs up top and green candles. And so what I'm going to do, okay, some of you are mentioning that you can't see my screen. If you can't see my screen, but you can still hear me, you'll probably want to log out and log back in. So I guess I'll just do another sound check really quickly. Type in Y real quickly if you can hear me. All right, thank you. All right. Great. Thank you very much, everybody. All right, so I'm curious to know, and I know this group is built up of all kinds of different, what I mean by this is people are trading at all different times of the day. So what I want to do, since we're on the Japanese yen, is I would like to show you some entries on the Japanese yen for those that are night traders, and for those of you who may be living outside the U.S. and don't trade within the traditional market time. So if that's you, can you enter an amen into the window real quick? Amen. Amen, brother. All right. All right. Thank you, everybody, for your enthusiasm. The question, what time of day do I trade? Michael, good question. I trade at night. I have a day job that I'm working very, very diligently at, but I'm also being very diligent in my trading because my dream is to trade, and I want to trade so that I can have total time and financial freedom. So anyway, I work during the day and I trade at night. I trade on the yen, and I really like the yen. The yen is trendy. It follows the rules. And you know what? I've found it to be excellent at giving me a couple solid entries throughout the evening time, which, you know, I'm awake until about 11 or 11:30 Central Standard Time. And it'll give a couple really good entries. So let's go ahead and talk about that really quickly. I'm not going to be able to, you know, so the replay, we talked about the concept of replay earlier, but if you look down here on the 1 minute, I can only go back as far as 8 o'clock today. Okay, so tonight when I show you for those that trade in the evening or trade outside of the traditional U.S. market times, for the sake of illustration, I'm going to show you the 5, and then we'll also the 5-minute chart, and then I'll also show you what the 15-minute is doing at the point that I'm considering an entry, so that we can get some good confirmations as to what's going on. So I have to keep moving this guy around. All right, so Rick, you're curious to know how many trades do I average at how many ticks? I'm a 3-tick guy because I am impatient. I am working on the lesson of patience, and that manifests in many different ways. Not only is there, we talk about being patient in terms of waiting for trades, but there's also patience that can be practiced while in the trade and actually allowing the market to give you what you deserve and what you ask for every time that you show up to the market. So I just like 3. And I get out and I'm like, yes, I'm awesome. And then, you know, obviously I'm full of adrenaline and I do a handstand or whatever. So hope that answers your question. So we're going to go back to last night. You know, the market kicks open at 5 o'clock when I get home, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Mind you that this is not going to be perfect in terms of being right side of the edge, so just keep that in mind. But if you look right here at 17 o'clock, which is 5 o'clock Central Standard Time, the market, it kicks open. Now, we are looking at yellow on green and blue on red. Now, because the market just opened, and mind you, this is last night's session, I like to wait because I don't know what basket trades have been entered, and I don't know if this thing's going to go screaming up or if because of the basket trades that were entered, it's going to go up and then go, oh no, I'm just kidding, and then fire downwards. So I like to let it go for a little bit, and I just wait to allow it to give me something that I can trade. And so it doesn't do this, if you look, a couple hours go by, we haven't seen a perfect trade show up yet, except look right here. Now let's see if this qualifies. This is yellow on green, so we like that. That communicates to you possible reversal. Get in early for a long entry. If we look above on the candlestick charts, we would see in the moment an HMA that is coming close to crossing. So if we look at now, rather than splitting the screens, I'm just going to pop between the two. If we look at the 15-minute chart, see what's happening on the 15-minute chart, or at least to get a matching candle, we should see something that will help us feel more comfortable about making this entry. I believe it was right on this time. Pardon me, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and just bring up the 5-minute. Okay, here it is at 6:45. What we want to do is we want to take a look over here and see what we're given from the day before. Well, same day at same time. So let me back this guy up real quick. Surajit, you can't hear me because I'm trying to maneuver my screen to where we were without wasting 7 hours. Can't believe I can't find this now. This is very frustrating. Okay, golly. All right. It was at 1950. All right. So if we look over here, hopefully we can get from a higher time frame a little bit better idea as to what's going on. Now, if I were to look at the higher time frame on the quant, and I see the first thing that I'm looking for, okay, because this is going to be green, is I want to see a green candle. Now this bar, completes at 1945, so it would have started over here. This is obviously, it ends up a doji, but it looks like to me that the 15 is getting ready to close the gap. And so in the moment, I'd feel good about taking this trade because, again, we're looking for 3 ticks. So what I'm going to do now is get us to the point on the NinjaTrader chart. We're going to execute the trade. I'm going to show you what it looks like on the DOM. And what I did was I took it to 645. The reason I took it to 645 is because this is a 5-minute bar. You see where it says 1950? Well, I'm 1 hour behind, and this bar started 5 minutes behind that, so that's why I typed in 645. So now, I'm going to enter the trade at level 0, and I get a lot of questions as to which is better. I think that that's more of a personal question. Some of you are going to feel comfortable jumping in at levels. Some of you are going to feel more comfortable jumping in at a trade back here to let the market breathe down and get you. And some of you will even feel more comfortable doing what we call a level 2 entry, which is 2 levels back from the yellow, where the price is currently trading at. Okay, I like to jump in. I've been watching Melanie for years. This is where Melanie jumps in most of the time, and me, out of habit, that's just what I do. So I hop in at level 0, and I don't use ATM strategies. There's 2 reasons I don't use ATM strategies. One is Barbara said not to. And the reason that she said is, there's a theory that they can see your stops. But I also like to be able to control my stops, and that's a little more difficult, as we talked about earlier with the ATM strategies. So let's go ahead and enter this and see what happens. I'm going to speed this up. a question coming up about how do I manage stops. Um, if it starts to go and hover anywhere around 6 ticks, for me, that's my comfort zone. Each one of you is going to have a different comfort zone for stops. And so, you know, one of the things that I would share with you that Barbara shared with us is that you'll want to do the trade, you want to drill the trade over and over and over again, so much so that you'll understand the price action and what it looks like when you're in the trade. And so one of the things that she said, you know, because she's all about numbers, she knows her numbers really well. She said, you know, start out by setting your profit at 10 ticks and setting your stop at 1, and then go through the motions there, and then move your stop out a little bit more and a little bit more, a little bit more, until you find out what works best for you from a numbers or percentage perspective. But when it gets around 6, I start to get nervous. I just, you know, obviously I'm in the moment and I can feel that and I know that, and so if it's hovering around 6, I'll just get out. But you know, sometimes, as this has happened to probably just about everybody in the room, sometimes you click out of those, and then a couple minutes later, and sometimes even more, you know, like 10, 15 minutes later, it goes in your direction and you would have been filled. And it's the most aggravating thing in the world. So the question was asked, how did I put my stop on the dome? Well, so when you enter on this side, you exit on this side, and so you'll just determine wherever you want to exit. You know, for me, it's 3 ticks, and so all you do is you, with your left mouse button, you just click right there, and then as soon as the price reaches it, it's going to take you out of the market. So this is what it would have looked like, I guess, if I were to do this right now. Enter here, and then as soon as it fills me, it's going to take that off, and you would see a brown line here, and then when it goes up, it automatically takes it off. Let me take a look at some of your questions. So the window's blowing up right now, and I want to make sure I pay attention to this. What are the green and red price bars? Surajit, if you can ask that in a different way, I'll try and get you an answer. Are you talking about the oscillator, or are you talking about the candlesticks? Does 6J have slippages? Jerry, I have not experienced that yet. What slippage means is this, by the way. If I'm entered here, and let's say that the Japanese yen gets really excited and it goes firing up 10, 20 ticks, does that mean that it's going to fill me here or maybe even later on rather than my original? I haven't experienced that yet. I've heard of slippage on gold and I've heard of slippage on oil, but I haven't experienced it on 6J. Edward, good question. The HMA, the period mimics the 14 HMA, so it's a 14 HMA, or at least it mimics the one that we have on our NinjaTrader charts.
This is a bit more signals because it's CBOE, so it works faster. Even though it's a 14, it's faster than the other 14 because it's a better signal.
All right.
Wow, that's a lot. Hold on. Chuck, you asked a good question. On the 15-minute over here, don't you care that the 4 is red? I do, but I know that a gap close is coming. Would I have loved for it to have been green? Absolutely. That it made me feel better? Yes. But I wanted to show you, you know, sometimes it's not a perfect world and everything doesn't show up exactly as you want it to. But if you're willing to wait, that will happen, as I'm sure everybody else has experienced as well. Let's find another trade. Let's see if we can find another entry here.
He thought it was a 1. He started saying 1, but he never got to a 1. He just like, supposed to show a 1.
Oh, it's a 15. I thought he said I do a 5 and a
Yeah,
1.
that's what you said, but then he said, I'd always look at the 15 too. So went to the 15. Got it
He did the trade on the 15.
You get on the 5.
Oh.
But he wanted to see some strength in the 15. So
Okay.
he calls that. He thinks that's good.
Like I said, on most nights, the Japanese yen will give you a couple decent entries.
Let me see one.
This one's pretty
Where?
decent.
Okay.
So that's 22.05. I wish that I could rewind the the 1 minute chart to yesterday, but unfortunately it only brings up one day at a time now. Do I trade the Euro Yen or the US Japanese yen? I trade the US Japanese yen. That doesn't mean that you have to. Jeff, to be clear, the quant only goes back one day on the 1 minute chart. As you can see down here, I can go back to July 9th on a 5 minute chart. A mass, if I trade off the quants exclusively, yes. I still drill my trades on the NinjaTrader charts because I don't want to lose that ability. I want to have the flexibility to trade off of both. But as I shared with everybody before, I've really been on a quest to make things simple for myself. And when I learned how to use the quant properly, I became more and more interested in it. So this is set to the time. Now let's pull up the dome. Let's see what we got here. Oh, hello. Yeah, I have tried per 3 and 5 minute charts. You know, I did that because that's what I was trained on. There's one more question. Does scalping for 3 ticks really need to use a 15-minute chart? No, not at all. The reason I brought up the 15 rather than the 1 minute chart is because I'm showing the yen from last night. You know, the yen is a great chart or a great instrument to trade for those who trade in the evening hour or trade outside of the traditional market times. And so, unfortunately, on a 1 minute Segredo chart, it doesn't go back to the day before. It only brings up 1 day's worth of data. So would love to be able to share with you just the 5 minute and the 1. However, I'm not able to do that because the quant limits me. Okay, so what we were looking at is our next entry, which is right here. There's a couple things that I like about this trade in particular. Okay, one, of course, is because it's yellow on green. 2, because this time the HMA is crossing the 13 EMA. I actually prefer that. Other times when I have entered and it hadn't crossed yet, this may not happen every time, but sometimes it dilly-dallies. And, you know, to be honest with you, that still makes me nervous. I realize that this is a possible reversal, and reversals dilly-dally, and I realize that. However, I'm still training myself to sit in that comfortably. So to protect myself as a preference, I like to get the ones that are as closest to or crossing if I can get them in the moment on 1, when the HMA is crossing the 13. So here's that candle. Again, this candle started at 9 o'clock. We'll do a level 0 entry. And sometimes I've been left behind, like you just saw right here. Let's wait this out and see what happens. It's not bad. That one was a pretty quick one. Sometimes they take 3 minutes. This one took 2 seconds. You know, all of you at this point have gone through either, you know, the online course or you've attended one live on the webinar. And, you know, there's that rule about never chase a trade. And so that's why I didn't move my entry. I just wanted to leave it there.
You understand that you have a Japanese
Jack, this is a good question. What are your thoughts on conflicting red and green candles versus oscillator bars? I don't know if I understand that. Conflicting red and green candles versus oscillator bars. Jack, I want to be able to answer that, but I don't know that I understand it. Pardon me if it's really simple and I'm just not getting it. All right, so there's something cool about the yen as well. It trades very well throughout the evening, but it also trades well when the market trades. You know, I was watching the yen today on the Segredo chart while I was working, and there were plenty of great trades throughout the day. Unfortunately, I was unable to take them because I was at work, but so here's one in an opposite direction, okay? Now remember, we're looking for 1s, 2s, and 3s on the numbering. And then for this one in particular, we like blue on red, and we like red HMAs, and we like it when the HMA is crossing or close to it. You know, this one, I would much prefer it if the 3 were right there, honestly, but unfortunately it's right here. So let's see if I can pull this one up. And while it's waiting, because it says not responding, I'm going to pull this up over here, because I know that I won't be able to get a 1-minute chart on that.
Look red, but it's going to be a red.
Okay. Now here is the 15-minute chart at 1:45, and you know, it's kind of sitting in between the HMA color change, right? We see each wick here, which indicates a possible change in direction of price. And so, you know, if you wanted to wait that one out, I suppose that you could. But again, what we see is at some point this thing it will gap close. Doesn't really show it right here, right? Like but what we do see is the wick. So the wick would give me a little bit of confidence.
It's helpful. It's not really.
So I'm going to pull up the dome. And again, this was our indicator right here. Red bar, red HMA, close to crossing. And then we had blue on red on the oscillator. Okay, there's the reason. I would need to download today's data from the yen. Let's do something differently. Let's go out of here and we'll switch to the daytime. I'm going to show you a couple of trades that you could have made today on the euro, and then we'll also see if we can show some on natural gas as well.
What did he say? Now he shows some trades.
When it show, you can't trade it. You just show you the day because you can't do it digitally.
No, I don't need an internet. I need the quant. Just to show.
Well, you can bring the quant up.
Oh, that's what I heard about. Because he doesn't trade.
So I'm going to build a couple of charts here, and because I'm going to use today's session, I'll be able to pull up exactly what I need. I appreciate everybody's patience. It's just sometimes this takes a little bit more customization than the NinjaTrader charts do. So let's go back to quite early today and take a look forward, and we'll see if we can find something that's really, really good to trade. Well, here's one that's interesting. We have a 3, like if we just want to use this one for example, we're looking for 1s, 2s, and 3s, and we're looking for yellow on green. Now this one's already crossed. So it's good that we get to see this because sometimes, you know, obviously I wouldn't have taken that because below on the oscillator it was red on green. But now when I see yellow on green and I see this, now let's go look at the 1-minute chart and see what it showed us this morning.
No use is the one in five. Set up to a curiosity.
Okay, so I'm limited to 8 o'clock. Well, here's one that happened at 8:45, but let's see if we can get even further back. So 8 o'clock, nothing, right, because we don't do blue on green. For the purposes of this class, we're not doing red on red. We have a yellow on green that shows up at 8:45. Let's see what the 1-minute chart is doing. I like this. Okay, so when you're using a 1-minute chart, which I have here on the right, and a 5-minute chart, which I have here on the left, and by the way, again, for those of you that have arrived late, my 5-minute chart is my trigger chart, meaning I'm waiting to see what I need to see on the 5-minute to pull the trigger, okay? Which, this is the particular trade right here. So we have a 1, which I like. It's coming close to crossing. And then we have yellow on green down here on the oscillator bar. And then if you look up here at 8:45, it's getting close to taking off on the 1-minute chart. Now, you've seen Melanie talk about this. It's very important to understand where the price action is in relation to the HMA. What I mean by that is this. When your price action goes below the HMA, as in these two bars right here, you wouldn't want to attempt a trade going long, and vice versa, right? Like on this candle, you wouldn't want to attempt a trade going short because the price, is moving past the HMA. And so if you can get that to match up on both charts, it's fantastic. You want to see the price in relation to the HMA matching on both charts. So, give me a second here. I'm going to pull up the euro. While that's loading up, let me look at the questions real quick. So IPA, and I say IPA because I don't know if it's supposed to be pronounced IPA or IPA. In terms of the 13 at the point, I don't need to be nervous because if you look on a higher time frame, sometimes it's closing the gap, or if you look on a lower time frame, oftentimes it's doing what we would call a clear trade, and the price action is clearing the moving averages, but it's also above the HMA. So when we see that, these are great confirmations, and you're right, IPA, you don't need to be nervous. I really just mentioned that because that's something that I actually experience in the moment, and I'm willing to admit it to you. Who knows when it's going to go away? I just know it's something that I got to work on. It's part of my, just one of the hurdles that I have to climb. The nervousness causes all kinds of things. It can keep you from pulling the trigger. It can cause you to sit there and think. Oh, maybe let me just take a look at this. Where's the fractal? Where is this? What, Or sometimes you enter hastily. You enter a trade too early. Or sometimes you get out of a trade too early. I told all of you that I like to get out at 3 ticks because I like to be fulfilled quickly. And oftentimes on the currencies that doesn't happen. In a perfect trade, it happens much faster on a clear trade, but I like the perfect trade because I can see it coming. The reason I can see it coming is because typically the way the perfect trade works is the price action's been going up for quite some time, and now it's tired, it's tuckered out. What goes up must come down, or if at least for just a little bit. And for some reason, I can see that clear as day, and I know that I'm getting ready to get an opportunity to take a couple ticks. But so that's what the perfect trade, whether you're going short or long, and I like those, like I said, because you can see the price action happening over time, and it's building, it's building, it's building. So when I see a bullish fan, which is the price action's going up and it's creating a fan with the moving averages, I get excited because my trade is on the way, and it's clear to me. I can see it. Same thing with the bearish fan. For me, when the price action is all bound together and it's sandwiched, it's bouncing between the moving averages, or even worse, sometimes the moving averages are fisted, and we all know what comes after a fist is a fan. I used to just sit there in complete anxiety, like, oh, I hope I get this right, I hope I get this right. When this thing comes, man, I hope I can pull the trigger, oh my gosh. And then the slightest little bit of movement on the bar would cause me to misfire. So that's why I dig the perfect trade. Barbara calls it the perfect trade because it's the most perfect example of a trend that she can find. Let's pull up the DOM. Hopefully by now this is loaded, and let's enter this trade going long. So again, why are we going long? Because at 8:45 we were looking at the quant on both the 5-minute and the 1-minute, and we liked what we saw. We saw a green bar with a green HMA. The HMA is coming close to crossing. It's a 1. Down here we have yellow on green, and then if you look over here, the HMA is above the 13 while this candle's red. We can see that the price action, because of what happened previous, is more than likely headed in the right direction. The other thing that I do like is I can see the switch. You see how this switches from down below to up above? Entering a trade close to that point, obviously not here, but right here, this is good because it just means it's continuing on. That's the reversal. That's the price action continuing from a gap close to the perfect trade to the reversal. So let's change the DOM to the correct instrument. Thank you. Thank you, Deborah. Come on, guys. Still computer. Okay, Mike. You're asking. Make sure I understand. If I'm accurate in this level part here. Mike, did I bore you? Are you asleep? I want to make sure I answer your question. I don't know this is necessarily a clear line. The sound is garbled. Are most of you finding that my sound is garbled? Is my sound breaking up on most of you? Yes. Okay. I'm sorry for that. Is it better now? Give me an amen. Okay, thank you. Mike, I'm not sure what that means, and I want you to go to the help button on the Segredo Quant question and ask that, because I don't know that that means anything in particular. I can't see that it measures anything, other than seeing the relationship of when this goes from below to above, which, that just shows you that the price action is continuing. All right, so let's enter this trade. And again, the reason I'm entering it, yellow on green, green 1, close to crossing. Then over here, I like where the price action is. It's above the HMA. and I like the slant of the HMA, and I like the slant of the 13 over here. I also like the fact that I can see this getting flatter and flatter and flatter and flatter, and I know that it's going to head in that direction. Dave doesn't see any asterisks. Yes, I noticed this a couple days ago. There's no asterisks on here because Barbara's not finished with it yet. There's a couple of things that she needs to tweak. I don't know what they are, but that's what she shared with me. And as you know, if it doesn't work properly, it could hurt somebody. And so she wanted to just go ahead and yank it off. She's probably messing with it behind the scenes, and it'll be back on soon. A lot of you have asked about how to drill these over and over again. So drill these trades over and over again. So what I do is when I get home, I will upload the day before, the activity from the day before, because I'm a night trader. So I'll download the yen on Ninja, and then I'll scroll through the Segredo and look for the correct entries using the criteria that we shared earlier, the yellow on green, the red on the blue, etc. And then I enter them, and I do them over and over and over and over again. Now, on the Ninja Trader side, I still drilled that trade, the perfect trade as well. By the way, the criteria is in the course packet, and I drill that over and over again, so that if I had to trade just using the Ninja charts, that I would know the criteria cold, I could see it plain as day, and then I could fire off. I found that the more, I typically will drill a trade 20 times, and then I'm done. I call those my free throws. We talk about, practice. Some guys talk about hitting, going to the golf range after hitting a round of golf and hitting golf balls. Basketball players talk about doing free throws. For me, it's practicing pulling the trigger over and over and over again. And so, let's see, we entered this trade at 7:40. It's been about 2 minutes, 15 seconds. It's come close so many times. This trade, as most trades are, it's about being patient. The perfect trade, a counter trend trade, if you will, it dilly-dallies. It dilly-dallies because the price action's been going in one direction for so long, and it takes a while to move into a different direction. So the key to this trade is, one, being patient enough to make the market give you the setup that you're looking for, not jumping in early, because then you're just in the trade for extra time. It causes extra stress, and as Barbara would say, gray hairs. But then also being patient while in the trade and allowing it to fill you at the profit target that you want. Bob's asking, do I use the quick buttons? No, I don't use the quick buttons. There was a time when I did. I don't use them anymore. When I thought I was a clear trader, I used to use the quick buttons, but I just don't anymore. I'm not a clear trader. I'm kind of a blend, actually. A couple of you have asked tonight, am I a gap trader? Am I a clear trader? I'm kind of a blend, and I think that that's why I like the perfect trade so much, is because if you look over here, it's technically, what is this? It's a trend trade, right? It's probably a clear trade if we were to open up the charts. But over here, it's kind of a reversal, right? And if we were to look on the 15-minute, possibly it's a gap close. So it's a blend of all of these things. So I get accommodated in that way through this trade. By the way, for the past 3 minutes, has my sound been going in and out or garbling? Do I sound like an alien? No. Good. Okay. So we got filled. It took 4 minutes and 1 second. We got our 3 ticks. And now what is it time to do? It's time to wait for another trade. We do a lot of waiting in this game. Laura wants to know why not use the 3-minute Segredo chart. I'm more comfortable using a 5 and a 1, but if you're more comfortable using a 3 and a 5, or a 3 and a 1, or could even be a 3 and a 15, you might find some relationships. But when Barbara shared the perfect trade with me, she said, when the 1 and 5 are in sync, it's a beautiful thing. And that's really all you're waiting for. You know, you're waiting for the 1 and the 5 to be in sync. So that's why I have chosen to illustrate this. You know, the 1 and the 5. We saw the 5 and the 15 earlier, but that was only because I was using a chart from yesterday, and the 1 minute doesn't. It only allows you to use today's data. But anyway, Barb showed me the 5 and the 1. She's my master. I'm not smart enough to mess with this information. I just take what she says and use that. Good question from W. Yang. How much do you get in drawdown in real trade in 4 minutes? Is that the question? We saw drawdown, but I didn't actually take a look at it specifically. You know, sometimes it's 3 or 4 ticks. On a good entry, it's only going to give you a couple ticks of drawdown. Okay, Tim would like to know what the setup is for the perfect trade using the Segredo quants. So I'll share that really, really quickly. Tim, what we're looking for on the quant is we're looking for yellow on green on the oscillator bars. And we're looking on, and I'm just using this chart because it's readily available, we're looking for blue on red, or red on blue on the oscillator. Up above, we're looking for 1s, 2s, and 3s, which, by the way, they match down here on the oscillator. And if we're going long, we would like to see a green bar with a green HMA that's as close to, or it could be crossing, the HMA crossing in the 13. Or if we're going in the other direction, we're looking for, I'll use this one because it's a better example. This is a really nice example. We're looking for, to go short, we're looking for blue on red. We're looking for a 1, a 2, or a 3. And we're looking for, up above on the candlestick chart, the red candle with the red HMA. And we really want to see the price action, if we're going short, south of the HMA, or at least on the southern edge. And so obviously it would be vice versa on the other side. You see how the price action is going above the HMA over here? Melanie did an awesome class last week talking about the relationship of the price to the HMA. And she said, you know, if you want to go north, or you want to go long, make sure that your price action is not below the HMA. You know, maybe some of you are doing that, and that's causing some unnecessary stress and unnecessary losses. And that is certainly an indicator that you're getting in a trade early, or it could even be late. So, Tim, if you're good on the criteria, will you type good in the window? Paul, no, I didn't say that there's a video of the perfect trade on the online course, but in the packet that you get when you do the online course, or the weekend, I guess I should differentiate better. The course that you do over the weekend that's done live with Barbara and Melanie, you get a PDF, and in that PDF is the criteria for the perfect trade. Chris, good question. Am I looking for a 1, a 2, or a 1, 2, or 3 on the 5-minute or the 1 minute? Chris, I'm looking on the 5-minute chart for that. The 5-minute chart is my trigger. That's why when I saw this one with all of this, and I looked over here and I saw what I needed to see over here at 8:45, I felt good, so I pulled the trigger. Okay, so W. Yeah, I understood the question. The question is, how much do you get in drawdown in a live trade in the live markets? If it's a good entry, you're only going to get a couple ticks of drawdown. If you enter too early, you might get somewhere between 4 and 6, in which case I get nervous. Sometimes I click out. I'll just absolutely get out. Did I use the number 1 or the number 2 on the 5-minute chart? I used the 1. Now, here's the cool thing. In this scenario, we could have waited for the second one, right? If we're like, well, you know, it hasn't crossed, and I really would feel more comfortable if it crossed. Man, the second that this HMA crossed, I'm getting real excited now. Let's see what that looks like. This bar begins at 850, and so let's see what that looks like. Actually, no, it doesn't. It begins at 45. It ends at 850. Rosemary wants to know if there's a 3-day cup. I don't know. Shoot a question to shadow support at shadowtraders.com, and you'll get your answer there. But nothing's been shared with me on that yet. I know that we're due. I know we're due. Noel wants to know, are there video examples of the perfect trade? No, there aren't. But if you show up every single. Robert wants to know, how do I get out if there is no stop? I click close. I'm willing to take an extra tick, because at that point I'm really not feeling too sassy and I want to get out. I just want out. All right, so for the purposes of the gentleman who asked about what if we would have waited until the number 2, we'll just enter that. That new bar began at 45 minutes after, so I'll show you what that looks like. And let's watch this as it goes to see what kind of drawdown we get, if any. I'm going to go ahead and enter my profit target right there, and let's just watch the price action for a minute. Watch it zip straight up and not even give us any drawdown when I'm trying to show drawdown. See what I mean? This is what I love about you guys. You're so helpful, and this is just absolute proof that we're all here to help each other. Barbara says, Melanie said that there's no 3-day until after the auto trade is ready. Yes, that's right, Barbara. She did mention that in last week's class. All right, it was a little bit faster, right? We got filled in 1 minute and 10 seconds versus 4 minutes and 10 seconds. And that's a good illustration that you can get in on a 2. And if we would have looked at that bar, which begun at, well, we'll just call that 850. If we look over here, you know, that it really technically started at 845. So that's what all this action is right here, right? So we have green on green right here, which means buying strength, go long. And then over here, we have the yellow oscillator with the green number, which means possible reversal, enter early to go long. I'm going to minimize this window. Let's go take a look. And you know what? Let's hop in on this one right here, if we can. So that's 854. Oh, well, actually, let's take a look at something else. By the way, what we're looking at right now is the euro from this morning. And we're looking at a 5-minute chart and a 1-minute chart to determine our entries. And so this went, you know, up, up, and now this is the direction it's headed in. Some of you are going to ask, you know, what about this one? I don't know. To me, I got the feeling from what just occurred here that it wasn't a finish going up. So here's something interesting being illustrated right in front of us. The 1015 run up. There that is right there. Now, I don't prescribe trading at 11:15, and you can also read about this in your course packet. Barbara tells you when the best time to trades are. Now, this is it's awfully close to lunch in America, and things just start to get really, really funky. And so, I wouldn't prescribe trading this live. Just wait until the following day till you get a setup that looks like this, but this is an absolutely beautiful setup. Let me pull it up on the 1-minute chart so we can take a look and see what it looks like on both charts.
I actually say it's good. There's another one. There's another time. It was a different time. Yeah, I don't know what that
Yeah. It's just bad time. Melly would do it. Today was a very unusual day.
Cool. All right. So the more that you see this, the quicker you're going to be able to scroll through charts and determine whether something's great or not great, just as you're able to do with the NinjaTrader charts. And so what I like about this right here is I see red on red, I see red HMAs, I see red candles with the price action hanging out south of the HMAs on the 1-minute chart. Now, again, this is not my trigger chart, but I use this to get a good confirmation and a good grasp and a good feel as to what's happening on my 5. Now, on the 5-minute chart, which is my trigger chart, what would cause me to pull the trigger is this red bar with the red HMA getting very close to crossing. And then down below we have a blue oscillator with a red 1. I also like the slant, the relationship between the 7 and the 1 here. And that's caused clearly because of the price action between these two bars. So let's move the NinjaTrader.
Well, that only because that was reversal.
So what is this?
This is a it's one.
You don't think this is a reversal?
Well, it is reversal.
This is a perfect trade.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't.
It's a perfect trade down.
He wasn't
You know it's a perfect trade.
It is.
Okay, I'll ask you a good question. Does it matter what the numbers are on the 1-minute chart? Or do you just look at the number 5-minute chart? A 1, a 2, or a 3 on the 5-minute chart to determine whether I'm going to pull the trigger and enter or not. If I do 3 over here, because that's, like Barbara said, everything is in sync. But I'm looking for what I will say is if I look here at them and I'm like, man, this is great, I'm fired up, this looks really good, I'm going to get another 3-tick trade. And I look over here and I say, me personally, because I know a 7 or an 8 is more of a gap close entry signal, so 7s and 8s are for gap closes, 1s and 2s are for the start of a trend, I back off. I just back off. People added that there's you don't want to be trading around 11:15, and that's because it's the close for the European market. Thanks for that, Jeff. So I'm gonna pull up my dome. And let's enter this trade. Uh-oh, am I going to get left behind? How many of you have the urge to follow this trade and move the so you can get in? Okay. Dolores, I know that the time is 11:15. I'm an hour behind the markets, and unfortunately, I didn't want to sync everything on my computer up with the Eastern Standard Time because I always wanted to know what time it was in my time zone. Yeah, looks like I got left. Look at that. Sayonara. See you later. Too bad. It's begging for me to follow it, though. It really is. Bob wants to know if the quick buttons are helpful with this. You know what? Let's find out. Let's drill that. Let's find out together. So I'm going to rewind the clock.
I don't understand. I understand what John explained it to me. What I don't understand is what kind of thing he's looking for. I thought he wanted a flat first.
So Bob asked, are the quick buttons helpful for this? We're going to find out. Rick, 2045 tonight. Is it a good trade or not? Let me see if I can get to that right after we try this. All right. Come on.
Oh, okay. But he likes it flat then. He noticed it's pretty flat.
Oh, Edward, thank you so much for your help here. For the gentleman that had the question about how much drawdown did I experience in that trade, you can go into your NinjaTrader control panel, and if you go to account performance and then click generate, it's in the M as in Mary, A as in Apple, E as in egg column. So again, you go to control panel, account performance, generate, and it's in the MAE column. Edward, thank you. All right, so I'm going to hit play. And Bob, there's your answer. So now let's enter this on the opposite side because we're going short. I wonder how long this one's going to take. By the way, for those of you that choose to do 20 free throws or 20 trades and drill your trades over and over again each night, one thing I recommend is once you're in the trade, don't speed it up. If you're, as Melanie would call it, a nervous, hesitant trader, and you're one of those people that, you know, you click in and you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, and I'm still kind of nervous, hesitant myself, while you're drilling, don't speed it up so that you can hear the ladies say order filled or target filled, you know, quicker to make yourself feel good. Because all that's going to happen is when you get into the moment, you're going to be looking for this fast forward button on your live trade, and it's not going to be there. All right, so where's the question? Okay, Rick wanted to know, is 2045 tonight a good trade or not? Let's go see. No. Red bar, red number, not interested. I'm looking down here, I'm looking for yellow on green. Some of you are asking good questions about how many ticks you can get in these particular trades. That's a personal question. Some of you are going to feel comfortable hanging out and doing, something like one of Melanie's 3-6 trades where she goes in for 2 contracts and the first profit target is at 3 ticks. I'll show you what that would look like on the dome. She would enter here with 2 contracts. And then she would lower the, this to 1 because she wants the first contract out at 3 ticks and then 1 on here. And so what I would tell you is this: when the 1 and the 5 are in sync, that is when you have your best chance of getting 6 ticks and even more. But I can't guarantee that because I don't run the switches on the wall. I'm personally just going for 3 now because I know what my numbers look like when I go for 3, and I know what they look like when they go for 6. So, but as long as the market, the 5-minute chart and the 1-minute chart are in sync, oftentimes you can go for 6.
Yeah, well, I haven't actually watched it.
Let's take a look at some of your questions.
Yeah, maybe they're doing that. I don't know.
Christina, Christina wants to know why I don't use an automatic stop when I get into a trade. Personal preference. After working with Melanie for so long and working with Barbara and watching how they trade, I just decided to do what they do. You certainly can, if it makes you feel comfortable, to have barriers set up, the profit and the loss, then I encourage you to set that up regardless of what I do, regardless of what Barbara does, regardless of what anyone does. What I encourage you to do is do what works best for you, and whatever works best for you, do that over and over and over again until you reach your goals. Jerry asked a good question about fake outs on the oscillator. I got faked out today watching, so just so you know, I obviously can't trade while I'm at work, but I do have the charts up from time to time. And to give you an example, I was looking at oil just to see what it was doing, and on the oil chart, it was giving me, it would vacillate between a green and a blue, but the number was red. It was green and blue, and green and blue, and green and blue. And I thought, man, am I going to get faked out here? What's going to happen? So I looked at the 15. It looked like it was doing a gap close. I looked at the overall general direction. I wanted to see, had this thing been going up for a while, or is this flat? Or, I wanted to find out what had just occurred in the past hour or so. And oil, incidentally, had been going up, and I thought, you know what, it looks like it's going to take a move down. And on oil, 3 ticks is absolutely nothing, okay? So I decided to commit, and I wrote my price that I would get in on a Post-it note. And you know what, Ray, or was it Jerry? It was Jerry. That thing vacillated back and forth for the entire 5 minutes, and I used the 5 minutes, so it was just like ding, 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 and it was going from green to blue, green to blue, green to blue, but the numbers stayed red, and I just thought, oh man, I think what that is an early entry, because it closed out, and then the next one was a blue, it was a red on blue, and I think it was a number 2, and the candle up above went down like this one. And I thought, okay, cool. So what that told me is I just need to kind of wait. Do I wait for the close? Possibly. The cool thing about these entries is that you can get in, not on every trade, but sometimes you can get in on a 1, a 2, or a 3. You could have gotten in on a 3 here, and you would have been safe, and we know that because this is replay, right? But I personally like to get in on 1s, and I like to get in where the HMA is hopefully crossing, or at least really, really close. And I like to, that vacillating just taught me a lesson. Just chill out. All right, a couple more questions have popped in. Dan asks, why not use the 55-minute chart for your trigger, confirm with a 10-minute chart, and go for 30 to 60 ticks? Dan, I cannot wait for the day when I can do that, and I don't sit there and grow the gray hair while the trade is coming in. Dan, that's one of those things. You remember when Melanie talked about, do what works first, do it a lot, double your account, and then start to set up sub-accounts, then that is something that I would do with a sub-account, which would be a second or a third account. Is that something that you do? I'm curious. I'm still learning to sit through a 3 to 6 tick trade right now. Ray wants to know, man, the 6J market is brutally slow. Is it always like this at night? You know what, Ray? It's not. This is just a guess. Maybe it was slow because Bernanke opened his mouth again right before the end of the American market trading hours. But I have no idea. Every single night, though, I'd say, 90% of the time it's a mover. And I'm with you. There was a time when I wanted to try and trade the Aussie at night, and sometimes that's brutally slow, and I was like, I don't want to sit here. I want action. I like movement. So that's why I fell in love with the 6J, or the yen. Is anybody interested to take a look at, we have a few minutes left here. Is anyone interested to see what natural gas looks like on the quant? Okay, cool. Dolores, you're very interested in the PDF that I was using in my last class. Is there any chance that I can email this out to everybody? Unfortunately not, but Dolores, suffice it to say, if you set up on your NinjaTrader charts, and that's what that PDF was, it was essentially talking about NinjaTrader charts, but it also had the Segredo on there. I've covered the Segredo data that's on that PDF tonight. You're looking for 1s, 2s, and 3s on the 5-minute chart. You're looking for green HMAs, close to crossing or crossing. That's the Segredo information from the PDF. And then on the PDF, essentially, just think of it this way. Imagine that you're looking at a 5-minute chart on your NinjaTrader chart, and you're looking at a 1-minute chart. Your 5-minute is your trigger, meaning you're waiting for the 5-minute to do it, to match the 1 to pull the trigger, but you're waiting for the stochastics to all line up and match on both, going from either oversold to overbought or vice versa. You're looking for the MACDs to match and be doing the same thing, and you're looking for similar relationships to the candles and the HMAs. So Dylan, let's take this up. I'm sorry, everybody. I got everybody excited about taking a look at natural gas, and then I want to make sure these questions get answered, though, because this is how we learn. Do I remember that Cheryl has a discounted price for Ninja multi-broker license? Can I help you get that discount? Dylan, I can't. I have zero clout with Ninja. I'm just like you, perhaps like you. I have a lifetime license, and that's about as far as I get with them. I'm sure they'd love to sell me another one. So, Dylan, what I recommend is you get in contact with Cheryl and see what she can do to assist you there. Hello, Sasha. Welcome to my class. Thank you for coming. I miss you. Bob, I don't trade before work. I used to get up at 6 and trade 6 Central Standard Time, and I used to trade the euro, and I would do a couple different trades. But I turned into one of those guys that really wants to get that last 15 minutes of sleep before work. So when I learned that the yen was a mover after work, I decided, you know what, I'm already awake at that time. I don't have to stay up, and I can possibly get out of having to cook dinner or do dishes, so I'm going to do trading at night. All right, for those of you that are still on, are we cool with going over to natural gas real quick? All right, cool. Let's look at 1 or 2 trades really quickly on natural gas. I love natural gas, but unfortunately I'm not up early enough to catch its action. You know, it does a couple really, really big moves. When Barbara shared the quant with us and she was talking about natural gas, she said, you know, the natural gas does something really interesting. If all of you could picture, if the price action was going up, right? Well, it goes up, but then it comes down and and it goes back to where it started. Therefore, it just creates a mountain. And then if you flip that mountain over, you got a valley. So sometimes what happens is the natural gas will go down, 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 down. The price action will go down, and then it'll come back up to where it started. It's the most interesting thing. All right, so let's bring up some natural gas charts. What's up with that? I wonder if I timed out. Yes, it did. Let's fix that. Rick, I'm with you there, my brother. Yes, NG is slow. NG is one of those charts where you enter a trade and you go walk the dog. Literally. Because if you sit there, then you deserve the pain. All right, so let me just set this up. I wish NG moved fast. All right, I'm not going to get perfectionistic about this. Let's just do that. Let's narrow this. And then boom. All right. That doesn't look good at all. That looks better. All right. All right, natural gas makes moves early in the morning. So for those of you that like to get up and do things before 5 or 6 on purpose, you'll like this. So this is the 5-minute chart on the left, the on the left, the 1 minute on the right. Let me just do a little customization here. Make this more prettier, as we would say in Texas. And I'll tell you what I'm looking at right here. Y'all see that? So blue oscillator with the red 1. Love it. If we look up above, this HMA is red. It's getting ready to cross. If you look behind, this thing's been going up for a while, so we know we feel a little comfortable, a lot more comfortable that it's going to be going back in the other direction. And so let's take a look at what the 1 minute chart would have given us. Hopefully it'll go back far enough. Of course not. No, let's take it to right here, but let's not go 20 minutes more so that I can actually illustrate this using both charts. Okay. Now let's go to that moment. I'm entering a 5 because this is Eastern Standard Time, and this is Central Standard Time. Jack, yeah, you know, so let me clarify. Sometimes it just sits there, right? You're right that, you know, if you're sitting there and 30 minutes, 40 minutes have gone by and there's been no price action, you absolutely have entered at the wrong time. and we would need to take a look at what were you considering in the moment to enter the trade. Jack says, you know, you can get 12 to 15 ticks in 3 to 6 minutes, and he's absolutely right. He is absolutely right. So yeah, just keep in mind that if you're sitting there, 30 minutes have gone by, and it's moved, you know, 3 or 4 ticks in either direction. You know, at that point, the question is, what was I looking at? Why did I get in? All right, let's pull up the dome. And we can put it over the 1-minute chart because we can't actually use it at this moment. Let's get on the right instrument. Now, I've been told that because of the way the price action works on natural gas, that sometimes a level 2 entry is not a bad idea. However, I'm more of a hop in at the level 0 type of guy. So let's see if it would have left me. Bob wants to know when the natural gas market opens. I don't know the answer to that question. Does someone in the room know the answer? All right. Oscar and MR, I guess that'd be Mr. 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you very much. Antonio, thank you. All right, so for the sake of us learning what it feels like to be in a natural gas trade, I'm not going to speed this up. We'll just kind of watch the dome here, and we'll take a look back. This is what we're looking for and waiting on right here. We've got a possible, this blue on red again means possible reversal, enter, get in for an early short entry. What we can do though, let's take a look at something. That's probably, there we go, boom. All right, so there's 3 ticks. And we entered the trade at 5:25, so it was 1 minute and 44 seconds. Not too bad. And again, what did we look at? We saw that the price action had been going up for, well, for a while, for an hour at least. We saw it going sideways. We saw that the 13 EMA was starting to bend and come down. We saw the red with the red HMA. We saw blue on red, and we decided to hop in. And so if, you know, each of you will take the time to go back and take a look at natural gas, you'll see what are the best times of the day to trade natural gas. You would also learn the same thing with the Japanese yen if it were the evening hour. You'd also learn the same thing with the euro. And I suspect that that would just go across the board. At the beginning of the night, I typed in 3 video links that I strongly encourage each of you to go check out. It will really help you understand where this world of trading is headed. You know, there's a lot of people who they're playing a different game than you and I, and they're playing with a different set of rules, and they have a different set of resources. And so I'm real excited to share the quant with you. Keep in mind that I too am learning as much as I can about this in the moment, but I'm trading with it. I'm really enjoying it. You know, the second that Barbara showed the quant to me, I thought, man, this is cool, because she said, you know, this is a web-based thing, so that means you can be anywhere, and you know, eventually, you know, you may get to the point where this is all you use, and I took that to heart. So I'm real excited about where the quant is headed. So you can expect every single Wednesday we'll be going through the quant. Of course, I'm going to get better and better and faster at this, so that there's not as much downtime and dead time and all of that. You know, so I appreciate your patience and bearing with me, but just know that we're all in this together. And again, the thing I like about our group is that we like to help each other. But what I really like the best is that, you know, if you showed up tonight, you committed to your dream and your goal. And so there's something to be said for that. It's not easy to do this after work when there's a million other things that tug at your attention. Dylan, Dylan wants to know how to get in touch with Cheryl because I recommended that he do that earlier. Dylan, if you'll email Shadow Support, I'm sure that they'll be able to help you with that. A few last questions and then we're going to log off. John wants to know, why are there no numbers in my dome? I honestly don't know. I don't know. It could have been how I uploaded my data today. There's got to be a setting, you're right, because I noticed that Melanie has numbers on her dome. But again, guys, keep this simple. Do what works. Whatever's working for you, do it over and over and over and over again, and don't change it, okay? And be willing to just be patient and let your account build up so that you can have your dreams. Market's going to give you all kinds of abundance every single day. Some days are not perfect, and some days are like, man, that was a fantastic day. But just be willing to ride the wave, all right? And last, oh, see, again, proof of help. Everybody's explaining to me how I can get the numbers over here on the dome, and it's by, when I upload the information in, I need to select level 1 and level 2 data. So I want to thank all of you for showing up and encourage you to go after your dreams and don't listen to the naysayers. And the more naysayers that you get, the better. That means you're getting closer to your dreams. So with that, continue your drilling, catch those videos, and I will see you next week.
The organizer has ended the session, and this call will be disconnected. Goodbye.